Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to deal with the topic that is growth and development. So, you are familiar with this term, that is growth and development. So, what is growth? It is a growth. It refers to an increase in the size, or you can say when a child is improving or growth is occurring into the children's or into the child, their size are increasing. In this diagram you can see, in the first diagram the child is in sitting position and the hands are in the downward, but in the second diagram you can see the child he or she puts his weight into a one hand only, and after that in the next diagram they are able to slide. In the next diagram they are able to stand, and then they can able to, their size is also increasing and their capacity or ability to the capacity or ability to stand or to balance their body or for the walking, all these are improving as their age are increasing. All these activities, their functioning, their abilities are also increasing. So these included in the growth and development. Their growth are also in the children's growth is also occurring because their size are increasing, they are increasing in the size, as well as development is also occurring into the children's as they are functioning, their ability to function is also increasing. So let's start with the topic, that is growth. It is the process of physical maturation resulting an increase in size of the body and various organs. It occurs by multiplication of cells and an increase in intracellular substance. It is quantitative changes of the body. That means growth, how can we define the growth? Growth, it is one kind of a process. It is a process of physical maturation. Means physically the child physical maturation is occurring into the children's or into the child. So this physical maturation, these are resulting in an increase in the size of the body. The size of the body of the children's are also increasing, as well as the various organs are also size of the various organs are also increasing, and there is an multiplication of the cells, because you already know that there is the division of the cells and as well as means multiplication of the cells. So multiplication of the cells is also occurring into the children's, and there is an increase in the intracellular substances or the matrix, and all these are included in the quantitative changes of the body. Quantitative means quantity, means growth. It is a quantitative term. It is a quantitative changes of the body. That means this growth, it can be measured. It can be measured in inches, in centimeters, in kilograms, in pounds, etc. So it is a measurable term. Growth is a measurable term, means it is a quantitative changes of the body. It is related to the quantity. We can measure the growth because we can measure the height of the children. So what we will say, the children are increasing in the height or increasing in the size. That's why we are able to measure the height, as well as we are able to measure the weight of the child in the kilogram or in the gram. So it is the weight of the child. So it is also included in the growth of the children's head circumference, chest circumference, all the anthropometric measurements of the children's we are doing, that all is coming under the growth pattern. Means it is a quantitative term. We can measure all this anthropometric measurements, we can measure in the inches, meters, centimeters, pounds or kilograms. So this growth, it is included in the quantitative term, and it is a physical maturation of the children's. Next is the development. So what is development? It is the process of functional and physiological maturation of the individual. Development, it is a functional process. It is a functional process and it is a physiological maturation of the individual or maturation of the children's, and it is a progressive increase in skill. That means it increases the skill and the capacity to perform a specific function. So in the development, how we will define the development? It is a functional process and it means physical maturation of the children are occurring, means their capacity, their ability is increasing, their skills to perform any activities are increasing. That is all coming under the development. We are telling that development is there in the children according to their capacity, their ability, and their skills are also improving. So it is coming under the development of the children's. And it is also related to the maturation and myelination of the nervous system, means their functioning of the brain, their brain activities, their functioning of the brain, the cognitive function of the brains are also increasing because there is the maturation in the myelination process of the nervous system. Next, it includes the psychological, emotional, and social changes also. So in the development, psychological changes are also there. Now the children are able to feel, able to understand what is occurring around them, around their surroundings, what is sadness, what is happiness, what is good, what is bad. All these they can able to means they are able to recognize, they can able to feel. So psychological development is also there, and emotional development is also there. They can able to means express their emotions. So emotional development is also there. They can understand what is sorrowness, what is, so they can able to express their feelings, how they are feeling happy, they are feeling sad, all this they can express. So emotional development is also there in the children's, as well as they can understand the emotions of the another person. They can also understand the emotion of the third person. So there is an emotional development in the children's, as well as there is the social changes is also there, means during the infant or in the child stage they are not very much socializing with the person, but during the development, when there is the development in the children's, during the development process of the children's, the social changes are also occurring in the children's. We can see the children's are able to socialize with the society. They are able to socialize, they are able to interact with the society, with the friends, with the family members, with the relatives, or with the unknown person also. They are able to talk, they are able to express their feelings, change the words, means conversation also they are doing with the unknown person also, and they are knowing how to talk or how to convert with conversation with the other person. All they are knowing. So they are able to socialize with the other persons, or social changes are also occurring in the children's, as well as they are able to know what are the social norms, means what are the rules and regulations of the society, means what social rules and regulations are set by the societies, what are their rights, and what is good for them or what is bad for them, what norms, rules and regulation is good for them, what rules, regulation or norms of the society is stereotype or orthodox. That also they are able to recognize when development is there in the children's. Next, it is a qualitative aspect. So all these functions are occurring into the children's. That is because there is the development, and this development is a qualitative process. Qualitative means we cannot measure in quantity. These skills we cannot measure in quantity. Capacity, ability, emotions, psychological, social, all this we cannot measure in the quantity. It is all the functional process. So we can only see, we can only feel that, but we cannot measure that. So it is a qualitative aspect or qualitative terms. That's why this development, it is a physiological or functional maturation of the individual or the children's, and it is measured in the months. It cannot be measured, but it is taken in the terms of the qualitative aspect, means it is coming under the quality. Next, Next is the principle of growth and development. So what are the principles of growth and development that we are going to study? So first is the cephalocaudal direction, proximo-distal direction, and general to specifics. These three are the main important principles of growth and development. So let's see and deal with this. First is the cephalocaudal direction. Cephalocaudal direction or the cephalocaudal development or growth and development means it is the process of cephalocaudal direction from head down to tail. Means cephalo means it is related to the head region. Caudal means it is related to the tail region. So in this it is telling that the growth and development is starting from the head region, then it is moving towards the tail region. In this diagram you can see this arrow, it is indicating firstly the growth and development, it is starting from the head region and then it is moving forward or moving towards the tail region. So this means that improvement in the structure and function come first in the head region. So whatever improvement, whatever functional changes, whatever growth and development is coming or occurring, it is first occurring into the head region, and then it is moving to the trunk region, means in the body region, means it is in the trunk region, and last it is moving towards the leg region. So first the improvement or the functions, all these are improving or occurring into the head region of the child, then it is development or growth and development is occurring into the trunk region and then to the leg region. So this is the cephalocaudal direction. Next is the proximo-distal direction, that means the process in proximo-distal, it is from the center. It is from the center or midline to periphery direction, means firstly the growth and development it is occurring to the midline region, means from the center the growth and development is occurring, and this growth and development now from the center it is moving towards the periphery, means to the extremities part. So the development it proceeds from the near to the far outward, from central axis of the body towards the extremities, means from this proximo-distal direction, means from the proximal means the near part. So growth and development firstly it starts or occurring to the proximal part, that means the near part of the body, that means from the center of the body, and distal means the far away part. So distal means far away part, means to the periphery of the body, means to the extremities part. So the growth and development it is occurring from the proximo-distal direction, means first the growth and development it is occurring in the central part or the midline part of the body, then this is moving towards the periphery or towards the extremities part. Next is the general to specific, means children use their cognitive and language skills to reason and solve problems. So first the children's they are using their cognitive functions, means the reasoning able to means the feeling, the reasoning, all this coming under the cognitive function, means recognition, all these are coming, judgment, these are coming into the cognitive functions. And they are also using the language skills, means the language which they are knowing properly, they are using that language skills also to reason and solve their problems. Next, children at first are able to hold the big things by using both arms. In the next part, able to hold things in a single hand. Then only able to pick small objects like peas, cereals, etc. Means general to specific means from easy to hard. Means firstly the children are able to perform the functions of the easy task, means firstly they are able to learn the easy task, they are able to perform the easy task, and then they are able to do the means hard task, they are moving towards the hard task. So firstly for the example it is given, the children are first able to hold the big things, they are able to hold the big things by using their both the hands, by using both the arms or both the hands they are able to hold the big things. But when the growth and development is occurring according to the age, they are able to hold the things with the single hand also. They are able to hold the things with the single hand, and after that they are only sometimes what happen, they are only able to pick the small objects like the peas. They are able to hold with the fingers or pick the small objects like the peas, cereals, etc. But when growth and development occurs, the children are able to hold the pencils. They are able to hold the pencils, and and when they are able to hold the pencils, first they are starting to draw the circles. They are starting to draw the circles first, then they are moving to the hard task, means then after they are able to do the squares. They are able to draw the squares, and then they are able to write the letters like alphabets, means A, B, C. All this means they are able to write the letters first, 1 2 3 4. Then after that only they are able to make the words, or they are able to write the words like apple, ball. So the growth and development, it is moving from the general to specific, means the easy task or the easy things the children are performing first, then according to the age, when growth and development is occurring, they are moving towards the specific or towards the harder task. Next, in this diagram you can see development proceeds from the general to specific responses. You can see in the first diagram the child is able to hold the small things like the peas, cereals, like this, the small objects they are able to hold. And in the specific, means it is the general part. Now the children is moving towards the specific response, means they are able to write the letter like A, or they able to pronounce like A. So this is the growth and development, principle of growth and development from general to specific. And some more principles are there for the growth and development. That is, development is similar for all. Development is similar for all. That means all the children, they are showing the similar pattern of the development from the one stage to the next stage. Means from the infant stage to the puberty or to the adulthood, they are showing the similar stage of development. Every child is showing the similar stage of development. For example, the baby learns to stand before he walks. So firstly the baby is learning to stand, and then only they are able to walk. Similarly, it is occurring in the similar development is occurring into the all childrens. So development is similar for all, and development is continuous, means development cannot be stopped in the one particular age. Development is a continuous process from the conception period to the death of the individual. The development is continuous. It is continuous, but sometimes according to the children's, the ability of the children's, it is rapid in some children's and sometimes it is slow in the children's. Next principle is the there is an individual differences. Development is there, but there is an individual differences is there, means development pattern is similar for all children. Each child follow a predictable pattern of his or her own way, but because of the heredity also, some children have the unique heredity, and some children they have the different environment, the nature, and according to that the individual differences are there in the children's, according to the heredity or according to the environment in which they are living. This all will progress, means in terms of the size, shape, capacity and developmental status. So there is an individual differences of the children's. Next principle is development, it proceeds in stages. We cannot say means in hierarchy level is there for the development, means firstly there is an infant stage, after that it is going to the means the preschool, then school, then adolescent. So means it is according to the stage. Firstly the infant stage will be there, after that the toddler stage will come, then preschool, then school age, adolescent, then adult. So it is, development is occurring according to the stages. It is proceeding according to the hierarchy level, according to the stages. Firstly there is an prenatal period. Prenatal period means from the conception to birth. Then next the neonatal period means from birth to the 4 weeks neonatal period. Then infancy stage is there, then toddler stage, preschool stage, school stage, adolescent, and the adult stage. So the development, it is proceeding according to the stages of the children's. So these are the principles of growth and development. Next we are going to study about the factors influencing the growth and development. So what are the factors that are affecting the growth and development, that we are going to study. So growth and development, it depends upon the multiple factors or determinants. So growth and development, it is depending upon the multiple factors are there, which depends upon, means this growth and development, it is depends upon the multiple factors, and they influence directly or indirectly by promoting or hindering the process. And these factors, they are directly or indirectly, they are affecting or they are promoting the process of growth and development. They may influence the process of growth and development, so that we are going to study. So what are the factors which are affecting the growth and development? So first is the genetic factors. Genetic factors, prenatal factors, postnatal factors, and other factors are also there. So in the genetic factors, the genetic predisposition is the important factors which influence the growth and development of children. This genetic predisposition or the genetic factors, it plays a very important role in the growth and development of the children. And in this, the race is also coming, the sex, region, the genetic disorders, the biorhythms, and the maturation. All these are included in the genetic factors. So these genetic factors, or the you can say the hereditary factors, these are influencing the growth and development. And how it is influencing? Because the offsprings, they have the property, by nature they have got the property that they are acquiring the characteristics of the parents, of their parents, or of their ancestors. So by birth, these offsprings, they are acquiring the characteristics of their parents or their ancestors. Like for example, the color of the eyes, the hair, the facial features, structure of the body, and blood group, etc. are all determined by the hereditary or by the gene which are present in the children's. So this is also influencing the growth and development of the children, the hereditary or the genes or the genetic factors which they have acquired from their parents or by their ancestors. And next, the sex. The sex of the baby is also determined at the conception stage. So after the birth, the male infant is long and heavier than the female infant. Means many of the times we have seen that the male infant is longer and the heavier than the female infant. But after the age of the 1 year, we cannot see any difference in the length and weight of the male as well as the female infants. But during the puberty time or after the puberty, what happens? The growth occurs in the boys, and boys, they become taller and heavier than the girls of their age. So sex is also it is also playing a very important role in the growth and development of the children. Means the males are their growth is more, they are more heavier and taller than the females. So like this, the growth and development is also affecting. Next, the race and nationality. Race, that means the growth potential of the children of different racial groups. Different racial groups like the Indians, Africans, Americans, all these are coming under the race. So the growth potential is also different in the different racial groups. Next, the nationality, like nationality is also affecting the growth and development. So the north regions of the India, you can see they are of the short stature as compared to the other states or the other regions, because of the climate also. These are occurring, and because of the nationality like Indians or Americans, these the climate region or the gene also affecting the growth and development. Next, in this genetic disorders are also very much affecting the growth and development, like the chromosomal abnormalities in the children, like the Down syndrome, Turner syndrome. All these are also coming under the genetic factor. The genetic disorders are also affecting the growth and development in the children. And also the gene mutations can also lead to the metabolic defects in the children. So these are the genetic factors, how the genetic factors are affecting the growth and development that we have studied. Next, we are going to study about the prenatal factors. So the prenatal factors means the environment which the fetus is getting in utero, means before the birth it is known as the prenatal factors or the prenatal environments. So the intrauterine environment is an important predominant factor of growth and development. Various conditions it influences the fetal growth in utero. That means the environment of the in the uterus part, in the utero region, when the child is in the uterus of their mother, that environment is also affecting the growth and development of the children. Means the intrauterine environment, they provides the nutrition to the children's nutrition, and also the other important functions are performed in the uterus region of the mother, and these children are protected by the uterus, and this means the fetus is protected by the uterus from the adverse effects of the external conditions. So this uterus, they act as a protection for the fetus or for the children's. So in the prenatal factors, when the child is in the uterus of the mother, all the essential needs must be fulfilled, all the basic nutrients must be given to the children's in the prenatal stage, so that no any growth and development disorders can occur. For example, many disease, means intrauterine environment can also have the adverse effect on the growing fetus. For example, the intrauterine, if rubella infection is produced in the mother in the intrauterine stage, so there can be a severe reduction in the quantity of the cells in many organs. Many organs of the child can be affected due to this rubella infection. So the intrauterine environment or the prenatal factors, they also influence the growth and development in the children's. So what are the various prenatal factors? First is the maternal malnutrition. Maternal malnutrition, that means if any kind of the nutritional deficiency is there in the mother, like the mother is the undernutrition, means they are not, the mother is not getting the proper diet and proper iron, protein or calcium rich diet, or the pregnancy diet, if the mother is not getting, that time this mother is coming under the maternal malnutrition, and it can leads to the protein energy malnutrition in the children, as well as the mother can also be anemic. Anemia, it can leads to the intrauterine growth retardation. If the mother is anemic, it can lead the child can affect the child as well as the mother can affect by this anemia, and in the children or in the fetus, intrauterine growth retardation can occur due to the deficiency of the hemoglobin or due to the anemia, and there can be a consequently there can be a small size of the fetus also. Next is the maternal infection. So what happens in the maternal infection? Maternal infection, that means when the mother is suffering from any kind of the infectious diseases. For example, we can say, for example, the rubella infection. It is occurring in the first trimester, mainly in the first trimester of the pregnancy, and this rubella infection, it results in the congenital malformation in the fetus. And children can get birth with the birth defects may be there, like the cleft lip, cleft palate, and other birth defects can also be there, and these children cannot grow at an optimal rate. And other maternal infections like the syphilis, if the mother is suffering from the syphilis, hepatitis B, HIV, cytomegalovirus, toxoplasmosis, etc., all this maternal infection can be transmitted to the fetus, and this can cause the retardation of the growth, means intrauterine growth retardation can occur in the fetus. Next is the maternal substance abuse. Maternal substance abuse means if any harmful drugs or the overdose or any toxic substances or drugs, if it is consumed by the mothers, that is also very harmful for the children's, and it can also cause the growth and also affect the growth and development in the children's. For example, the drugs like the thalidomide, if it is consumed by the mother during the first trimester of pregnancy, it can adversely affect the embryo and it can lead to the birth defects, because these drugs are coming under the teratogenic agents or teratogenic effect means which can cause any harm to the fetus. The drugs or the substances which can cause any harm to the fetus and which can cause the placental barrier. Next is the maternal illness. If any kind of the disorder is present in the mother, like maternal illness means if any obstetric disorders is there, like in the pregnancy, any pregnancy induced hypertension, or for example preeclampsia is there, eclampsia, or the multiple pregnancy is there, or malposition of the fetus, which produce all these disorders, obstetric disorders in the mother can cause the fetal growth restriction, and it can severely affect the growth and development in the children. And next illness or the disorder we can say, when the mother, if the mother she is suffering from any kind of the metabolic disorders like the diabetes mellitus. So the diabetes mellitus, they can lead to the large size of the fetus, and other complications can also occur in the child. Next is the hormones. How the hormones are influencing the growth and development. Hormones like the maternal hormones, like the, for example, the thyroxine. So the human fetus, it secretes the thyroxine from the 12th week of gestation. So a human fetus can secrete the thyroxine from the 12th week of the gestation. But if thyroxine deficiency is there in the mother, if thyroxine hormone deficiency is there in the mother, what can occur? It can cause the retardation in the skeletal maturation in fetus. Skeletal maturation can be retarded in the fetus, as well as if mother is suffering from any maternal myxedema, it results in the hypothyroidism in fetus. Means hypothyroidism in fetus means the low level of the thyroid level is low in the fetus. So these all are caused because of the hormones imbalance. Hormones is there in the mother, so the various kinds of the diseases can occur in the fetus. Next hormone, for example, the insulin. If insulin, it stimulates the fetal growth, and in mothers with diabetes, the mother who is suffering from the diabetes, this fetus is usually large and with excessive birth weight. The mother who is suffering from diabetes mellitus, their fetus or their child, they are usually of the large size and with the large or excessive birth weight. So as the maternal blood sugar level is high, the fetal blood sugar is also elevated. There is the directly proportional, means if the mother is having the blood sugar level high, then the fetal blood sugar will also be elevated, and this can lead to the various kinds of the complications like the the abnormalities of the pancreas, means functioning of the pancreas can also be means abnormal, and it can lead to the excessive insulin secretion, which can result in the macrosomia. Next, the miscellaneous, means the other factors are also there which can affect the prenatal factors, which can affect the growth and development in the children's. Next is the postnatal factors. So what are the postnatal factors which can influence or affect the growth and development in the children? Are the growth potential. Growth potential means the ability of the child to, means how they are responding to the environment, to the physical environment. So the growth potential also influences the growth and development in the children. Next, the nutrition, how the postnatal factors or the postnatal environment or the postnatal nutrition, how they are affecting the growth and development in the children is growth of the children. They are mainly suffering from the protein energy malnutrition. We have seen that the children are mainly suffering from the protein energy malnutrition, anemia, and the vitamin deficiency diseases. So these children, they are severely affected with this malnutrition, protein energy malnutrition, anemia, and the deficiency diseases. And also overeating and overnutrition also leads to the obesity and the various disorders and complications in the children. So postnatal factors in that nutrition is also playing an important role in the normal growth and development. If the child is having the protein energy malnutrition, means less deficiency of the protein as well as deficiency of the calorie, so it can lead to the marasmus and kwashiorkor diseases, and this can lead to various kind of the other complications and disorders in the children's, and it can affect the growth and development in the children's. Next, if the child is suffering from the anemia, the deficiency of iron is there, then the child will suffer from the anemia, and other disorders can occur due to this anemia. And if there is a vitamin deficiency, for example, if the child is suffering from a vitamin D deficiency, so it can lead to the rickets in the children. That means the bone disorder. It can lead to the bone disorder. The strength of the bone or the skeletal system will not be that much strong in the children's, and it can lead to the fractures in the children's. Next, the childhood illness. So childhood illness is also playing an important role in the growth and development. If the children is persistent suffering from the for example the diarrhea or the respiratory tract infections, these are the common in the children. So if the child is persistently if the child is suffering from diarrhea and the respiratory tract infection, so it can cause the growth impairment in the children. It can cause growth impairment in children. If any systemic infections are there, or any parasitic infestations or parasitic infections are there, it can also decrease the velocity of the growth and development. It can also retard the growth and development in the children's. Next, the physical environment. The children's when the children's they are living in the environment, their physical environment, they are also influencing the growth and development very much. If their physical environment, means if their surrounding is not proper for their growth and development, means they are not getting the sufficient environment, the love, care, affection, all the basic rights or the basic needs of the children are not fulfilled, then at that time also their growth and development are also affecting. The surrounding area, the physical environment is also influencing the growth and development in the children's. Next, the psychological environment. The psychological environment is also playing a vital role in the growth and development in the children's. If the child is psychologically fit, so their growth and development will be also in a normal pattern. If the child is not psychologically fit, means any psychological problem is there into the children's, at that time growth and development cannot occur normally in the children's. And psychological environment must be means the love, care, affection, all these things. The parents must be with the children's, the care must be given to the children's. All these are the necessary things, the psychological things which affects the growth and development or behavior pattern in the children's. Next, the cultural influence. Cultural influences are also playing an important role in the growth and development in the children's. How the cultural influences are affecting the growth and development? For example, the cultural influences of the child, it is depending upon the culture of the different family members. The family, they have the different cultural groups, like for example, there is an cultural taboos against the consumption of particular foodstuffs, like the vegetarians, they do not consume the egg or the meat, so that children of these communities, they are not getting the proper protein diet, means high protein diet they cannot get, so there can be a growth retardation in these cultural group family members. And some communities, some cultural groups, they believe that the colostrum is not must not be fed to the children's because it is an impure yellow milk, but this is wrong. So some communities, some cultural groups, children are not getting the colostrum, and it can cause the various kind of the nutritional deficiencies. The immunity of the child is weak, the children can suffer from various kind of the infectious diseases. So like that, cultural influences are also affecting the growth and development in the children's. Next is the socio-economic status. How the socio-economic status is influencing the growth and development in the children's are the environment of the children where they are born. If they are born in a lower socio-economic groups, is usually less favorable, and the children who are grown in the middle and the upper class groups as compared to the middle and the upper class groups children's. So if the parents of the children, if they have the poor financial condition, so they cannot take proper care of their children's, the basic needs cannot be fulfilled by the parents if their financial condition is poor, as they do not have the money to buy the essential needs, the essential health, diet, clothes, all these things for their children's. So poverty, crowded and the unhygienic living conditions can also lead to the growth retardation and development in the children's. Next is the climate and season. Climate and season is also very much affecting the growth and development in the children's. Like in the rainy seasons, the child is suffering from many times they are suffering from the diarrhea, and in the winter season they are mainly suffering from the respiratory tract diseases. So the seasonal changes, the climatic changes can also affect the growth and development in the children's. Next, the play and exercise. We have already studied about the play. So we have studied that play, how they are playing an important role in the growth and development in the children. So play and exercises, through the play and exercises they are learning the abilities, they are learning the skills. So play and exercises, they are also very much important for the growth and development in the children's. Birth order of the child, they are also influencing the growth and development in the children's. If one parent, if they are having many children's, the birth orders are also affecting the growth and development in the children's. The first child, all the facilities, all everything the first child is received or first child is getting, as compared to the third, fourth or fifth children's. So birth order of the child is also influenced, and the birth process, the mother is also going through the birth process. If the first child is born fully healthy, second means not every time, but it can occur the third, fourth children's, they can not that much strong because of the many time the mother has gone through the delivery or the birth process. So these also affect the growth and development in the children's. Next, the intelligence, the intelligence level of the children's, the IQ level of the children's are also affecting the growth and development of the children's. If IQ level is less than the normal, then they can suffer from the mental retardation. So growth and development is affected by the intelligence also. Next is the hormonal influences. As we have studied, the hormones, they are also playing an important role in the growth and development of the children. So in the postnatal factors after the delivery of the child, in the children's, if the essential hormones are not secreted at the time of the different ages, like in the puberty, many different hormones are getting exaggerated or secreted in the puberty stage. If it does not occur, the growth and development can be affected. Like in the males, testosterone hormones are secreted, and in the females, the progesterone and estrogen hormones are secreted. So these are the very much important for developing the secondary sexual characteristics or developing the puberty stage in the males and in the females, and as well as other hormones like the thyroxine hormones and growth hormones. All these are playing an important role in the growth and development of the children. If these are not secreted in the sufficient amount, or if these are secreted in the excess amount, this can lead to the growth and development in many disorders, in the many hormonal or endocrine disorders in the children. So in this way, the hormonal influences, these are also affecting the growth and development in the children. So we have studied about the factors affecting the growth and development in the children. In that, first we have studied about the genetic factors, how the genes, the hereditary characteristics, race, sex, nationality, how these are affecting the growth and development in the children, that we have studied. Second, we have studied about the prenatal factors, how the different prenatal factors like the maternal nutrition, maternal illness, maternal infection, maternal consumption of the drugs, all these, how they are affecting the growth and development in the fetus or growth and development in the children, that we have studied. Next, we have studied about the postnatal factors, how the postnatal factors like the postnatal nutrition, childhood illness, psychological environment, cultural influences, hormonal influences, socio-economic status of the family, birth order of the child, play and exercise, how these all factors are, how these all postnatal factors are affecting the growth and development in the children, that we have studied. I think you all have understood this topic, the growth and development. Thank you.